Hello, welcome to this special interview series for Awaaz India TV. Many countries in the world are practicing democracy, and for democracy, they use many other ways for their election purpose. In India, EVM is used for the election purpose, but it remains surrounded by many types of caution. And people talks also about electoral reforms. So why these types of question arises in India? We have a special guest with us, Dhiman Vijaymankar, the National President of Ambedkarite Party of India. Welcome to our show, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, what do you think? EVM is innocent or it is in a serious question mark?
It's in a serious question mark.
So why are you saying like this?
Because you see, it's after all electronic device.
Okay.
Though it's a standalone machine, but it's an electronic device. Now, anyone who understands computer science can very well understand that any machine, it depends upon its source code. So if anyone can manipulate the source code, then he can give a command to the EVM to act according to its own objectives. And the Election Commission of India is not ready to accept this and is not ready to accept that either there should be an election through the ballot, or if at all there is an election through the EVM, then at least 50% of the paper trails should be counted. So the ECI is not agreeing to it, and the Parliament is oblivious of all this fact that it has already amended the Representation of People's Act 1951 and Conduct of Election Rules 1961 during the period of the Congress government.
Yes.
But now it is not ready to further amend all these two laws to ensure that EVM cannot be manipulated. Therefore, it is under serious question mark.
So do you think that in the pandemic situation, now there is Bihar election and many states election will come upon. So is EVM going to be used as it was using in previous times? Do you think that?
Yeah, of course, because there would be election through the EVMs in Bihar also. And there only one booth in one assembly would be counted. Okay. Then there was a Supreme Court decision which said, no, at least you should count, 5 booths from one assembly segment. Okay. But if you don't count, at least 50% of the paper trails, 50% of the booths. Suppose if in one assembly there are 100 booths. So you should count at least 50% of the booths paper trails. So that is not there going to happen in the Bihar elections also. So the results would be doubtful, always be doubtful.
So what do you think, sir, that what can be the solution for free and fair election in the India?
See, free and fair elections, it's a very big principle already accepted by the International Parliamentary Union also, and the United Nations also in the various human rights recommendations have said so. So if we see the Indian electoral system, that is what we say the first past the post system with the single member constituency and a single vote victory. It's basically a defective system. That is the basic system that we should think upon. Now I'll give a data. The data is very interesting. Out of the 105 parliamentary democracies of the world,
yes,
81 countries do not practice first past the post system.
Okay.
81 countries they practice, they have adopted the proportional representation system and a mixed or hybrid system along with the FPTP. Only 24 countries, they have adopted FPTP, that is a first past the post system or block vote method system. That is called, in brief, the majoritarian electoral system. Now, if you see the countries which have adopted FPTP in the same way that we are using, only 3 developed countries of the world have adopted FPTP. That is, one is UK, but there is no system of FPTP in Scotland. Second is Canada. Third is US. Only 3 countries, but US model is a bit different, and there are other checks and balances in the first pass and the FPTP, first past the post system. But if you see all the major countries of the world who are developed countries, they are adopting the proportional representation or the hybrid system. I can name some of them: Andorra, Armenia, Aruba, Australia, Bahamas, Belgium, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Bulgaria, Cabo Verde, Cambodia, Cayman Islands, Croatia, Czechoslovakia, Denmark, Estonia, Falkland Islands, Faroe Islands, Fiji, Finland, France, Polynesia, Germany, Gibraltar, Greece, Greenland, Guam, Guismary, Guyana, Hungary, Iceland, Iraq, Ireland, so and so forth. All the almost all developed countries, Netherlands, and you see New Zealand, Netherlands, and Singapore, so many countries I can enlist. So all the mostly the developed countries of Europe, of Africa and Latin America, they are adopting the proportional representation system, not the first past the post system. That is a major thing that we should think about.
So, do you think that there is a need of electoral reforms in India?
Comprehensive electoral reforms, not partial electoral reforms. Comprehensive electoral reforms. That is what India requires.
So, what do you think they should be?
You see, I've already prepared, 10 bills, and I'm planning to bring these bills through a private member. I have spoken with, Thulthur Ramalamji, who is a member parliament from Tamil Nadu, and he is interested to bring, these bills in his own name as private member bills. I've already, petitioned the parliament through these bills, and if we see these 10 bills, almost all 14, 15 major, changes I have suggested. So can we enlist? If you want, I can enlist one by one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There are 14 to 15 things. First is that I have proposed to adopt a mixed and hybrid system for India. That is a proportional representation system along with the FPTP. So if you see the parliament, I have suggested that from the prevailing 545 seats, there should be 1500 member parliaments in the Lok Sabha. Out of which 752 should be elected through the proportional representation system, 748 should be elected through the hybrid system. That is the FPTP with 2 member constituencies, not one member constituency. And if you see right now in Nagpur, there is only 1 MP. If he gets even 1 vote more, he will be going to parliament, another candidate would be sitting at home. Yes. But now the hybrid model I have proposed is that there should be 2 member parliaments going through 1 constituency, and 752 through PR system. The second is that the ceiling limit in the open list, that is open list of the proportional representation system, the ceiling should be only 0.15%. So suppose if I get 10 lakh votes from India, suppose Ambedkarite Party of India today, if it gets 10 lakh votes from all over the country, I'll be guaranteed of 3 member parliaments in the parliament. That is my formula. But if I get 10 lakh votes as a party now from all over the country in the FPTP, you cannot guarantee vote. You see, once I would tell an example of Bahujan Samaj Party in UP in the last elections, 2014. In spite of getting more than 2 crore 27 lakh votes, BSP got 0 seats in UP. But there was a party in Sikkim which got only 1,75,000 votes, and it won 1 member parliament. So in the first past the post system, over 2 crore votes, 0 MP, but 2 lakh votes, 1 MP. So that is the demerit of the first past the post system. But suppose if now the prevailing NDA government, it is having 45% of the votes. If you translate 45% out of 545 into the number of seats, it should be around 250 seats. But NDA has got 345 seats. BJP has got only 34 point something percent of votes. According to that, BJP should have got only 180 seats, but BJP has got 303 seats. So winners take all. That is called, the first past the post system. So if you don't get that much percentage of votes, but you got a concentrated number of votes, you get more seats in FPTP. And the other voters, become non-representative. So I'm suggesting 1500 member parliaments in Lok Sabha and over 6,000 MLAs from the prevailing 4,500 in the legislative assemblies through the PR system and a mix of 2 member constituencies, along with 33% reservation for the women and reservation for SC/STs, because I can take you back to the Constituent Assembly debates of 4 January 1949, when Sayyid Kamruddin, who was the member parliament, who proposed that India should adopt proportional representation system. And he was supported by K.T. Shah and Mr. Kunjru and Mr. Ali Beg, that we should seriously consider adopting a proportional representation system. I am very saddened to say that the Constituent Assembly didn't, doing research on the PR system, just, refused to adopt the PR system and blindly adopted the FPTP system. And this is the reason why people are losing in spite of getting more votes in India today. So 2 more main points I've enlisted.
More further points do you want to enlist?
Yeah, more points if you want. Then EVM I have proposed that there should be, if you are conducting elections through EVM, then there should be 100% paper trail counting. That is what I propose, point number 1. Then in almost all 135 countries of the world, there is public funding. That is, you get money through budget, or there is an electoral fund through which you get, money to contest the elections, political parties as well as the candidates. So I have designed in that a national electoral fund where people who want to get tax exemptions would donate to the National Electoral Fund, and out of that National Electoral Fund, money would be given to the parties and the candidates on a uniform formula. That is the fourth or fifth point. Then I have proposed that there should be media regulation, a fair media regulation. Today, if you are a very intelligent leader, a very good person with a very good policy, but you don't have, money, and the media is not ready to show you and your party and the policies of your party. Yes. What I've suggested that the time of media as far as elections would be uniform under the guidelines of the Supreme Court, and the advertisement rates would be very low, uniform. Every party, every leader should be given adequate time according to the percentage of the votes to have its say in the media. And I will see elections in Germany and US, they are taking place. Now, equal representation to all the parties is being given there. So there should be fair media regulation. That is my sixth point. Yes. Seventh point, that the delimitation of the constituencies. It has to be designed on a proper formula whereby because the major adverse impact of delimitation is to the Muslims of India. Because if you see the Dalit constituencies of India, the scheduled caste reserved constituencies, those are the constituencies where mainly the Muslims also live. So there is an underrepresentation of Muslims in the parliament. So the delimitation should be taken on a proper manner. That is the seventh or eighth point I have proposed. Further points should I enlist?
You can, sir.
Okay. So further point is that there should be ceiling on the expenditure of the political parties. Now if there is a ceiling on the expenditure of the candidate, suppose if you are contesting Lok Sabha elections, there is a ceiling of 70 lakhs or something like that. But there is no expenditure on the ceiling of the political party. The political party can spend even 7 crore rupees. Okay. There is no ceiling on the third party expenditure. Yes. So the poor and rich cannot compete in such type of an electoral system. Yes. So there should be a ceiling on the expenditure of the political parties. There should be a ban on the donations by the corporates to the political parties, because they will be getting funding through the National Electoral Fund. So this is also a very major aspect. Now, there are no new electoral reforms, new electoral offenses. Suppose if you carry the EVM from the booth, it's an offense.
Okay.
But if you manipulate the EVM through manipulating the source code, it's not an offense in the electoral law.
This is as a serious issue.
So it's a very serious issue.
Yes, sir.
Suppose outside 150 meters, okay, if you gag the voters, it's not an offense. Okay. Today. So I have brought in new electoral offenses, then fines on the media and the political parties for violating the things. Then if you file an election petition, suppose today if you file an election petition in the High Court, after 5 years the results come.
Yes.
Okay, suppose after 4 years or 5 years the result is coming of the court, then the whole tenure of the defective candidate is over. And the person who has filed the petition is having no remedy to go to the parliament or assembly, in spite of the fact that the opposite person was a defaulter. Okay, so there should be a binding of 6 months for declaring the results by the High Court. So this is also one of the major aspect that I have introduced. Then there should be new criteria for defining the national parties and state parties to reduce the criteria. That is one thing I have designed. And lastly, I feel if we don't go into the nitty-gritties of all those things, then I feel allotment of symbols, permanent symbols to the political party. That is also one of the minor things that I have proposed.
Sir, do you think that democracy means only the majority, or else there is something about minority?
No, democracy does not mean majority rule according to me and according to the standard definitions of democracy. Okay. There are a lot of scholars who have defined all these things. David Betham, is one of the a major you see scholar, then there are you see other contemporary scholars who have defined all those things. Feskin on deliberative democracy and all these things. If we don't go into the nitty-gritties and just want to understand democracy in brief, democracy is about three things. It's about representation, it's about participation, it is about deliberation. This is what democracy is all about. So if you take these three you see aspects of democracy, three essential aspects of democracy, then just to say that we have given one man, one vote, one citizen, one vote, and to ensure a first past the post system with a defective you see outcome of the results. And then say that since you are having only 272 seats, you are in majority and you can govern. That is not democracy. That is a majoritarian form of government. That is not a democratic form of government.
That exactly was what I was saying to you.
Yeah.
So this was Dhiman Vijaywankar with us. He is with us with more debates also, and we are getting you with more interesting topics. Till then, stay tuned.